Welcome to Narrative Strokes. Greetings, everyone. My name is Geraldine. I believe my granddaughter Ellie recently shared with you her ordeal in the woods, the one she endured with her father. Bless her heart, she survived only because she listened, because she remembered. My son, on the other hand, always dismissed our family stories, called them woo-woo crap. That arrogance nearly cost them both their lives. Ellie told me you were curious about the old tales, the ones we don't tell lightly, so I'll share one. The story of how I almost lost my life and my sanity within the Bennington Triangle. It was the summer I turned 16. My friends and I had planned a celebratory camping trip, just 3 of us, myself, Pauline, and Donetta. They were familiar with the trails, yes, but not with the truths that walk beside them, not with the rules. I was certain my knowledge would protect us. I was wrong. That morning, as we packed up, I made sure I had everything: a compass, map, a week's worth of food, tent, water, clothes, and my sleeping bag. But most important were the things Pauline rolled her eyes at: a pouch of salt to encircle our camp, ash to keep away the barefooted ones who stalked the trees after sunset, a red string tied tight around my waist to confuse the triangle's pull, and iron filings to weigh down the sole in places where the veil wears thin. Donetta agreed to carry a pouch like mine, and I wrapped the red string around her waist too. But Pauline just scoffed at me when I offered her the same. The hike began peacefully, almost too peacefully. Birds chirped, wind played in the leaves, and sunlight danced along the path like it was leading us somewhere. Then everything changed. The light dimmed, though no clouds had passed the sun. A cold mist bled across the trail ahead of us. And then silence. Total silence. Not a bird, not a breeze, just nothing. And I knew. Rule 1. If the birds stop singing, close your eyes and count backward from 13. Do not open them until you hear a chickadee. We had stepped into a thin place, a fault line in the skin of the world. Close your eyes, I hissed, stopping cold. Now, and don't open them until I say. Donetta's eyes suddenly widened in confusion and fear, but she quickly obeyed. Pauline laughed. Seriously? Another one of your creepy old rules. I closed my eyes, began counting. 13, 12, 11. A shiver carved down my spine. Something was there, moving, heavy, slow, wrong. The air around me shifted as if space itself bent to let it pass. 10, 9, 8. Footsteps, bare, wet. Not behind me, not beside me. Next to Pauline. 7, 6. She gasped, a strangled, sharp noise, not fear, surprise. Then a scream tore through the trees. Brief, cut off, and then nothing. 3, 2, 1. The birds began singing again. I opened my eyes. Donetta was crouched, trembling, red string still tight around her waist, and she was holding onto it like a lifeline. I turned toward where Pauline had stood. She was gone. No tracks, no signs of a struggle, no sound, no trace. Only a faint impression in the mist, as if something impossibly large had passed through and taken her with it. Where is she? Donita exclaimed, frantically looking around the forest. I think she was taken, I said. Pauline! Donita shouted, running off the trail and into the brush. Don't leave the trail, I shouted after her, but it was too late. Panic flared in my chest as I ran after her, the mist thickening unnaturally around us. The world became a blur of ghost gray fog and shadowy trees. I tripped, branches clawed at my arms, roots dragged at my ankles. Everything smelled damp and old, like soil that hadn't been turned in centuries. By the time we stopped running, the sun was bleeding out behind the trees. The trail was gone. We're not going to find her in the dark, I said, trying to sound calm, though dread coiled tight in my stomach. We'll camp here. At first light, we'll try to find the trail again and get help. Donita nodded, hollow-eyed. She didn't argue. We pitched the tent in silence. I laid a thick ring of salt around our site, whispering the old words my grandmother taught me. Not prayers, but warnings, protections, barriers. Donita wandered off to relieve herself, and I waited, glancing at the darkening tree line, each shape seeming to breathe, shift, watch. Then came the whistle, sharp, piercing, not far off. Hey, Geraldine, where are you? I can't see. Donita's voice rang out, panicked. Follow my voice, I called, stepping just outside the salt ring. I cupped my hands around my mouth and let out a sharp whistle back. Then I froze. From the trees to my left came a low, guttural growl, a sound that vibrated in my bones like distant thunder. The forest fell completely still, as if the trees themselves were holding their breath. Donita stumbled into me from the dark, breathless, her face pale. Thank God, she gasped. Quiet, I whispered, dragging her back. We have to get to the camp. Now. But it was already too late. The growl grew louder, heavier, closer, and then I saw them, two glowing red eyes, floating above the forest floor, impossibly high off the ground. They blinked slowly, then moved toward us. Snap, snap. Twigs shattered beneath something heavy, something deliberate. That's when I remembered Rule 2. Never whistle after dark. It summons it. If you hear a twig snap but see no animal, drop meat or bone behind you and don't look back. We ran. Branches whipped our faces. The mist stung our skin, but we didn't stop until we reached the faint outline of the salt ring. My legs shook, lungs burning. Behind us, that low snarl rumbled again. Help me get a fire going, I barked, my fingers clumsy and cold as I scrabbled for kindling. Donita helped, her hands shaking as badly as mine. The fire caught slowly, then flared to life, but the eyes were still there, now just beyond the salt, close enough to smell the singe of its breath. And then it stepped forward. Not a dog, not really. It looked like one, but it was too tall, too wronged. Black fur, matted and glistening, jaws filled with long, uneven teeth. It moved with the patience of something that knew we had nowhere left to run. The Hound of Glastonbury, the guardian of the Bennington Triangle, the enforcer of the rules, and we had broken one. I reached into my pack with trembling hands, searching for an offering. All I had was jerky. I flung a piece beyond the salt. It snatched it up with impossible speed, yet didn't retreat. Instead, it kept circling, watching, testing. Its growls deepened like a voice trying to form words in a throat not meant to speak. We stayed awake the entire night, backs pressed to each other, salt circle unbroken, fire never allowed to die. But the ice didn't leave, not until dawn. We didn't dare pack up camp until the sun was high enough to burn through the fog. Even then, our hands trembled as we smothered the fire. Every rustle in the brush made us jump. Every snapped twig set our nerves on edge. We didn't speak. We just moved, quickly, carefully, constantly glancing behind us. It took hours. My compass spun more than once, the needle twitching like it was unsure where we were. But finally, the trail reappeared, like it had been hiding, watching. We didn't celebrate. We just walked faster. We didn't call for help. We knew better. Voices don't always come from the things you expect out here. It was mid-afternoon when we heard it, a whisper, soft and deliberate, curling through the trees like smoke. "Donetta! Geraldine!" We froze. It sounded exactly like her. "Pauline?" Donetta called, her voice shaking. "Pauline, is that you?" "Donetta!" The voice came again, closer now, from behind us. From the corner of my eye, I saw it, tall, impossibly tall, with limbs like bent branches and antlers that looked like rotting wood. Its face was a void, blacker than shadow, hungrier than silence. It wasn't Pauline, it was the Watcher. Rule 3. Don't look up when the wind whispers your name from behind the tree or in the mist. He is watching. I grabbed Donetta's arm and screamed, "Run!" We bolted down the trail, breath ragged, feet slamming against the dirt. Behind us, twigs cracked in rhythm with our steps, bushes rustled with unnatural violence, and always the Watcher lingered just out of view, glimpsed only in the corners of my eye. "Donetta!" A third whisper. I turned just for a second, and Donetta was gone. No scream, no struggle, just gone. There was only the sound of the wind and the trail before me. I didn't stop. I couldn't. I knew what came next, but luckily I knew what to do. I burned my boots and left them by a fork in the trail, a decoy. I ran until my legs gave out. I crawled, hid beneath roots, covered myself in mud to mask my scent. It watched me the whole time. The forest rangers found me 3 days later, barefoot, bruised, eyes wild. They said I must have gotten lost, delirious from dehydration, a survivor of exposure. They launched a search for Donetta and Pauline, brought in dogs, volunteers. They never found them. Even if they did, it wouldn't be them anymore. Because the forest doesn't just take people here. It replaces them. I still live near those woods. Foolish, maybe. But this land has been in my family for generations. I know its rules. I follow them to this day. Sometimes, though, at night, I hear them. "Geraldine!" calling from just beyond the tree line. Pauline, Donetta. Their voices are perfect, but I never answer. Because I know it's not them. Not anymore. And if I answer, it might remember I'm still here. Thank you for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed it, then comment down below and let me know what you think. I'll see you next time with another story. Until then, keep smiling and don't forget to like and subscribe.